Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to how much you need to live comfortably in each state, or not each state, in every state throughout the US. Some states are ridiculously expensive, some states are very cheap, and they both have their pros and cons. The expensive ones are expensive for reasons, I guess, because they're good states to live in certain ways, but then also the insane prices make it impossible for a lot of people to live there. So for California, for example, I would say the median income, or the income you would need to live good, sorry, not the median, just the income you'd need to live a good life. Well, so the national median income in the US is 74 grand. That is pretty mental. That's very high. Well, not very high, but it's pretty high. But then that's the median. So California is probably going to be in the £90,000 range, I think, to live a comfortable life. Maybe even more. Bro, that's mad to think about. Bloody hell. Yeah, so California, I'd guess £90,000 to live somewhat comfortably. And then, yeah, from that, it will just probably be a bit lower from each state. The lowest state, I'm going to guess it will be around like $45,000. So the highest, I'm going to say $90,000. The lowest, $45,000. And then the lot will probably be in the range of like 70. Well, it's literally the median income, so £70,000. Pounds, dollars. Why did I say pounds? But we're going to check this out and see. And I guess based off where you live, you can judge whether you think this is true or not. And yeah, without further ado, let's check this out. Links also in the description to my Patreon, where you can see reactions that I can't post to YouTube. Movie reactions, TV series reactions, music reactions, just YouTube videos that I can't post here, like certain weather type reactions and stuff. Links are there for those who want to see that. But let's check this video out.
Median income in the U.S. is $74,580 for a household and $54,132 for an individual. But that number in one state might not mean as much as it does in another. For instance, $74,580 for a household in California, where the average home value is about $746,000, is much different than in a place like...
The home average is... What the hell, bro? I knew it was pricey, but that is ridiculous.
Indiana, where a home value is about $230,000. Clearly, your money can go a lot further depending on where you live. So today on Across the Globe, we're going to be looking at how much you need to live comfortably in every state. Keep in mind that this data is for a single worker. So if you're a family, you'll likely need to make a lot more. For this list, we will be going in order from most expensive to least expensive. Number 50, Hawaii. If you've seen any of our other videos, you probably won't be too surprised that you need the
I mean, I knew Hawaii would be high, but I'm surprised it's higher than California.
Highest salary to get by in Hawaii. According to data from Go Banking Rates, the average person needs over 6 figures here.
Person? Wow. Wow, that is crazy.
Specifically, $112,411.
To live comfortably, what? Mate, that is mental.
And that's not too surprising, considering that the average home value in Hawaii is $830,000, which is about $483,000 more than the national average of about $347,000. Number 49, Massachusetts.
What?
While Massachusetts may be considered one of the best states in the U.S. to live, according to factors like its economy, quality of healthcare, and education, that doesn't mean that everyone can afford...
I did not know Massachusetts would be so high. Number 2.
...to live here. In fact, a single worker needs just under 6 figures, or $87,909 to live comfortably.
Mad.
Number 48, California. I mentioned California at the start of this video, so you're probably not too surprised to see it here. All that great weather and beautiful...
Wait, he's in this for a single person. $87,000 for a single person in Massachusetts to live comfortably. What? What jobs are people doing here? Like, is everyone just like a scientist there or something? Like, what the hell? Like, they're highly populated states. I don't understand how people are earning such high salaries. Individuals, not. I thought that I said the California family income to live comfortably will be $90,000. But we're talking about a single person. And it's gonna, like, what the hell?
beautiful nature comes at a cost. Literally, here, the average person needs $80,013 just to
Wow.
cover basic necessities like food, housing, and a base level of savings. Number 47,
I'm still shocked by Massachusetts, man. What the hell?
New York.
Okay, so
According
New
to
York,
Wallet Hub,
California.
New York has the highest tax burden in the entire country. That's likely one of the many factors making the cost of living in the Empire State pretty astronomically high, with the average person needing a yearly salary of $73,226. Number 46, Alaska. If you're like me, you're probably surprised to see Alaska at the top of this list.
I mean, I guess it's probably down to like a lot of stuff gets imported here, probably. But I swear there was a thing about how Alaskans get paid to live in Alaska as well. So I'm kind of confused by this. How that's number 5.
But Alaska is actually quite expensive to live in, with groceries, utilities, housing, transportation, and healthcare all being more costly than the national average.
Jeez.
All in, that means you need a minimum of $71,570 per year to live comfortably here.
Damn.
Number 45, Maryland. Maryland is another one
So
of those
high.
states that is more expensive to live in than the U.S. average when it comes to metrics, including housing, utilities, groceries, and more. In fact, the average salary needed is $67,915 a year. Number 44, Vermont. It seems like Vermont's scenic fall foliage comes at a cost. According to Go Banking Rates, in order to get by in Vermont, you need $65,923 a year. That's about $10,000 more than the median single earner in the U.S. Number 43, Oregon. Right on par with
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Based off California being the state that's seen as insanely expensive, and it was expensive, extremely expensive. These other states are ridiculously expensive as well. $65,000 for an individual to live comfortably. I don't understand. I feel like this might be overdoing it a little bit, unless I really am just like not aware of how expensive the US is to live just in general. Mad.
Vermont is Oregon, where you need an annual total of $65,763. This might be surprising, considering that Oregon has the 11th lowest tax rate in the country and has an average home value that's only a little above national numbers.
How's it so high?
However, higher costs elsewhere, including groceries, healthcare, and transportation, might be to blame. Number 42, Washington.
So now the West Coast is all gone. I guess the West Coast is just in general the most expensive. I think the West Coast and then the New England states are probably the states that are seen as probably the price, not the state, the states that are seen as the priciest, or the regions that are seen as the priciest.
In Washington, the cost of living index is 115.7 compared to the national average of 100. And despite having no state income tax, residents need about $65,640 annually to cover their expenses. The state's tech industry, high housing costs, and rents in areas like Seattle likely contribute to this figure. Number 41, New Jersey. Did you know that New
I
Jersey
guess New York City probably brings it up a bit. New Jersey's this high. What the?
is considered one of the best states to live in for families? However, families and singles alike require above average salaries to live here, with an individual needing a salary of $64,463 for a comfortable way of life. High property taxes and housing costs are factors influencing
Florida's
this
not
amount.
here yet.
Number 40, Connecticut.
Damn.
Connecticut is a picturesque state with a unique blend of rural areas and small cities. However, if you decide to live here, you'll need an annual salary of $63,078 just to get by. The cost of living is driven up by high housing costs in certain areas and above average expenses for healthcare and utilities.
I just want to see how much, if this even pops up, do you need to live comfortably in England? Obviously, London will make that extremely high. A single person with no children may need at least 1,400 per month to live comfortably. So £17,000 after tax. So let's just say that annual tax. Let's just say that annual the annual salary is like 19,000 something. So that'll probably be like $26,000. I don't actually know. That's just me sort of trying to convert it. It might actually be a bit less than that. Damn. But that's throughout the UK. Like, now let's just see in my city. So I feel like my city is probably a little bit more costly. $1,600 a month. A 3-bedroom apartment in the city centre costs an average of $1,600 per month. That is pricey. City centre though. Okay, let's just do London now, because I'm comparing the expensive US states to London. Because I'm sorry, a single person living in London might need around $1,500 per month to cover living expenses. No. What? Okay, I don't. London is its estimated salary of around £65,000. So it's like $80,000. What I've heard, right, is doctors in London they struggle to get by, and doctors are one of the best paying jobs throughout all countries. To be happy in London, you must be making upwards of £79,000 per year. So yeah, that's probably describing it a bit better. Does it say anything for that? It won't say anything here, will it? Good salary in Norwich is £31,000 per year. While most experienced workers make £50,000. Is Norwich an expensive city? The average house price is £242,000. So it's like $280,000. I'm just gonna try and say that's the conversion. I mean, it's making me realize the US is pricey.
Number 39, New Hampshire. Like Washington State,
Really
New Hampshire
pricey.
also has no state income tax. However, it goes one step further, also having no sales tax. Despite that, to live comfortably in New Hampshire, one needs about $62,935 annually. That's probably because everything from groceries to housing is more expensive here than elsewhere. Number 38, Maine. Maine is famous for its coastal towns and seafood, and because of its rural nature, you might assume that it's an inexpensive place to live. Well, that's not necessarily the case, as Go Banking Rates reports that you need a salary of $60,862 to live comfortably. The state's relatively high costs for healthcare and utilities add to the overall living expenses. Number 37, Arizona. Arizona's unique desert landscape comes with an annual cost of living requirement of $60,026. Factors like housing costs in rapidly growing cities like Phoenix and Tucson likely play a significant role in this figure. Number 36, Rhode Island. Rhode Island may be the nation's smallest state, but that doesn't mean that you need less to live here. In fact, in Rhode Island, residents need about $59,936 annually. I will note that high housing costs, especially in wealthy coastal areas like Newport, contribute to this number. Number 35, Colorado. Colorado is known for having expensive ski resorts, but it's also more pricey to live here, as you need about $59,218 a year to be comfortable. The state's high housing costs, particularly in cities like Denver and Boulder, where the average home values are about $558,000 and $974,000 respectively, are likely a factor. Number 34, Nevada. Nevada is more than just Las Vegas, but despite that, you still need a higher than average income to make things work. According to Go Banking Rates, that number is $58,580. The state's higher than average cost of living is influenced by above average expenses of things like utilities and transportation.
See, the utilities make sense because obviously I feel like this state has to be so efficient with stuff like water. So I guess the utilities side, I understand the expenses there. Still no Texas, still no Florida. I know people move to Texas because it's, I guess it's somewhat cheaper. But I was thinking that also has been bringing up the price like crazy in general there. But I guess we're gonna find out where they'll list. I would have thought Florida though specifically would be very high. But
Number 33.
and they still are high, by the way.
Idaho. You probably don't think of Idaho as a place where you would need to make more than the average income to get by, but in fact, you need a salary of about $58,634 annually. That's because even though housing is less than the national average, certain things like transportation and healthcare are more costly. Number 32. Virginia. Virginia requires a salary of $57,293 annually. This above-average number may be influenced by the state's proximity to Washington, D.C. and high housing costs
Virginia's
in
high
northern
as well.
Virginia, which, interestingly enough, is seeing housing prices rise faster than the national average. Number 31. Montana. Home to part of Yellowstone National Park and Glacier National Park, Montana requires a number slightly higher than the national median income to get by. If you want to make a comfortable living for yourself in Big Sky Country, you'll need about
So I've just done the conversions here. So 58,000 is the equivalent to 44,000. So $57,000 a year is the equivalent to an individual here earning £43,400. What? Damn. 43,000 a year is like extremely good, isn't it? Bloody hell. I knew America people earned more money and it was also costlier, but I didn't know it was this much.
$7,056 a year. Number 30. Florida.
There we go, Florida.
Florida is one of those states where it really depends on where you're living to understand how much you need to live.
Okay.
After all, it has everything from affordable little towns in the north to the billionaire bunker island in Miami. All in, this means that on average, you need about $57,064 annually, which, all things considered, is pretty reasonable. Number 29. Delaware. Delaware may be one of the most business-friendly states, but it's also fairly friendly for individuals looking to live affordably. Here, you need only about $2,000 more a year than the national median to get by, with a yearly salary of $56,571. Number 28. Utah. If you want to live in Utah, which is known for good skiing, national parks like Zion and Bryce Canyon, plus its family-friendly atmosphere, you'll need an annual salary of $55,293. This number will vary depending on where you live, as housing costs in cities like Salt Lake City are significantly more expensive. Number 27. Pennsylvania. We've reached the first state where the number you need to get by comfortably is less than the national median income, and that state is Pennsylvania. Here, you need about $53,838 annually. Number 26. North Carolina. North Carolina has been all over the news lately as being one of the best places to live in the U.S., and that's largely because they launched a massive marketing campaign to try to get employers and workers to move there. However, when we look at the salary you need to get by, there may be some truth to this campaign. Here, you only need $53,531 annually to live comfortably. Number 25. Wisconsin. Fun fact, Wisconsin is not only home to a large part of the dairy industry, but it also was where the first ice cream sundae was made. A metaphorical cherry on top to live here is the low cost of living, with an annual cost of living requirement of $53,122. Number 24. North Dakota. North Dakota is one of the least densely populated states in the country, and that might be part of the reason why it's more affordable to live here. For instance, the average home value is only about $251,000, which likely contributes to the fact that residents here need only about $52,807 annually. Number 23. South Carolina. Speaking of low housing prices, in South Carolina, the average home value is $287,000, far less than the national average price. Here, you can enjoy the state's scenic coastal areas and state parks at a comfortable annual salary of $52,222. Number 22. South Dakota. South Dakota,
They're very similar
famous
to
for
Dakotas,
landmarks like Mount Rushmore and the Badlands, necessitates an annual salary of $52,095. Not only is housing here cheaper than the national average, but you can also find lower-priced groceries, utilities, transportation, and healthcare. Number 21, Minnesota. If you've seen any of our other videos, you probably know that we've named Minnesota one of the best states in the country due to its affordability combined with its high quality of life. And here you can get by comfortably on $51,668 a year, so long as the cold doesn't bother you. Number 20, New Mexico. In New Mexico, residents need about $51,214 annually. Of course, this is heavily dependent on where you live, especially when it comes to factors like housing. For instance, housing overall is less than the national average, but can be far more expensive in cities like Santa Fe. Number 19, Texas.
So here's Texas
Like
then.
New Mexico, where you live in Texas heavily determines your cost of living, especially considering how big this state is. For example, although Texas has an overall housing index that's about 16% less than the national average, if you're looking to buy in Austin, that number is way above the national average, at an average home value of about $533,000. Overall, though, you need about $50,497 to be comfortable in the Lone Star State. Number 18, Ohio. In Ohio, you need about $4,000 less a year than the national median income to get by, for a total of $50,157. Interestingly, it's not just one metric that makes Ohio more affordable than other states. It's everything from its lower cost of housing to more affordable groceries and transportation. Number 17, Louisiana. Famous for its unique culture and cuisine, Louisiana has a cost of living index that's almost 10% less than the national index. That means that you only need about $50,087 a year to live comfortably, according to Go Banking rates. Number 16, Michigan. Detroit, Michigan's largest city, has an average home value of only $67,000. While that definitely doesn't represent the rest of the state, it might be a contributing factor to why, on average, you only need $50,049 a year here. Number 15, Indiana. Indiana is one of the top 10.
There's still been no Illinois. I wonder where Illinois ranks then after. Because Michigan, I wouldn't have thought Michigan would be higher than some of these states that are going to come now.
Biggest agricultural states in the country. As you can imagine, that means that the state is pretty rural, which likely at least partially explains why its cost of living index is only 91.1. Here you can get by on $49,855 a year. Number 14, Wyoming. Wyoming is not only known for Yellowstone National Park, but also for Grand Teton. Luckily, you can enjoy all the natural beauty this state has to offer at a low cost of living, with estimates putting an individual yearly salary needed to live comfortably at $49,600.
That's still over. Wait, I'm thinking, is that still over? Nah, that's just under 40k a year. That's still £37,000 a year. Like that's about £38,000 a year. In my city, and I thought my city it's like decently priced overall. £38,000 a year for an individual. You're living so damn good. But the thing is, like we've just seen, that is not what the average income is here. The average is like 31,000, I think it said. Which would probably be equivalent. I want to actually get this up now, just so when £31,000 in dollars. So that's $40,000. Will there be any states under $40,000? I guess we'll see.
$66
Doesn't look like there will
annually.
be.
Number 13, Illinois.
There's Illinois.
Like many of the other states on this list we've looked at, Illinois is a blend of urban and rural areas, meaning that where you live in the state will heavily influence the income you need. However, on average, that number is $49,372. Number 12, Georgia.
I thought Georgia
Did you
would be
know
higher
that Georgia
as well.
is one of the nation's top producers of peanuts, pecans, and peaches? But that's not all the state has going for it. With a cost of living index of 90.9, that means that you can get by here on about $49,051 a year. Number 11, Nebraska. Like Indiana, Nebraska is another one of the nation's top agricultural states. In fact, agriculture is so big here that farms and ranches occupy 93% of the state's total land area.
Oh, damn.
That doesn't mean that living here is expensive, however. It's actually the opposite, with residents needing about $49,009 annually. Number 10, Tennessee. The birthplace of country music and home to the Great Smoky Mountains, living in Tennessee requires $48,774 annually. I will note that in music hubs like Nashville, though, you may need even more. Number 9, Iowa. Fun fact, Iowa is the only state whose east and west borders are formed almost entirely by rivers. But that's not all. Iowa is also the nation's top corn producer. Here, you need about $48,518 annually. Number 8, Missouri. If you drive across Missouri, you're sure to see lots of variety with major cities like St. Louis and rural areas like the Ozarks. The state not only has variety, but also has the 6th lowest cost of living index in the country, meaning that you only need about $47,771 annually for comfortable living. Number 7, West Virginia. We just looked at the state with the 6th lowest cost of living index in the country, but West Virginia actually has the lowest, with an index of 85.2. Here, everything seems cheaper, ranging from housing to groceries to transportation to healthcare. The result? You need about $47,732 annually. Number 6, Kansas. Kansas is not only considered one of the top 20 places to live in according to factors like its economy and overall quality of life, but it's also one of the most affordable. Here you need $47,379 a year as an individual. Number 5, Kentucky. Kentucky may be famous for its bourbon and horse racing, but now it may have a new claim to fame: its affordable cost of living. Here, the overall cost of living index is almost 7% lower than the U.S. average, and the salary needed to be comfortable is only $47,318 annually. Number 4, Arkansas. Did you know that Arkansas is the #1 producer of rice in the U.S.? That's right. We're seeing yet another major agricultural state as one of the most affordable places to live in the U.S. Here, you need about $47,100.
We're definitely not hitting the $40,000 range. There's 3 states to go. I am very surprised. I just didn't know it'd be so high for an individual. Shut up. Yeah.
$111 per year. Number 3, Alabama.
Alabama.
In Alabama, residents need about $46,577 annually for a comfortable quality of life. Lower housing costs in cities like Birmingham and Huntsville likely influence this number. Number 2, Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, damn.
Number 2 on our list is Oklahoma, where estimates say you need only $46,024 a year to live a high quality of life. Remember, that's significantly less than the median income of a single person in the U.S., which is $54,132. However, I will note that safety and the quality of the state's education and healthcare may be a bit lacking. Number 1, Mississippi. Number 1 on our list is Mississippi, which has the lowest cost of living in the country. Not only is the cost of living index here 86.7, or over 13% lower than the national average, but in Mississippi you need about $8,200 less than the average worker makes to live comfortably. In fact, in Mississippi, you only need $45,906 annually, which is pretty significant when you compare that to the most expensive state in the U.S., Hawaii, where you need $112,411. What about all 50?
Well, there we go. This was a shock to me, man. This was a big shock. So what you're telling us is that even $20 an hour, 20 times 40 hours equals $800 a week, or $41,000 a year before taxes. A person cannot live comfortably anywhere in the US. Do a video on the average wage by state. Yeah, that does seem extremely high. You are watching the value of money go down, not the cost of living go up. The gap between Hawaii and the rest is insane. So what you're saying is, as a disabled individual who receives just over 10k a year to live on, I simply cannot afford to live in America at all. Doing this by state is tough. There are huge differences. Yeah, I guess like when you're doing a lot of these states, you can have the major cities bringing it up, and then a lot of other places bringing it down. So I mean that is how the averages work. But let me just see again. How much do you need to? How much do you need to live comfortably in just England? Because England, I think you can compare England to like a state. Obviously, population-wise, there's a lot of people. A single person without children may need a salary of just over £24,000, which would be like just over $30,000. Damn. But then places like London, like bring that up extremely high, and then other places that are a lot like struggling a lot will bring that down. But it is fascinating. A couple with two children may need to earn £50,000 to live, £50,000 to live comfortably. I'm so baffled by this. A single person needs £29,000. Okay, well there we go. Obviously you earn more in the US, right? In I feel like probably all jobs. But damn, I am definitely finding more out about the world than I realised. Yeah, if you're from the US and you live in one of these states, tell me whether you agree with this or you disagree from your own experiences. But damn, I am pretty shocked by this. But again, at the same time, big cities will bring up the prices a lot. Like, a lot. Because, like we just saw with London, extremely big difference between London and my city and just the rest of England. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. And until next time, peace.